All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Agent Spotlight. And today I've got a fantastic long-time member of the Razor Ridge family, Aaron Avidon, and he's got a very long history with us. And he's somebody who has seen us go through ups and downs, I'd say, in terms of leads. And so he's always is a good person to chat to understand who he is when it comes to understanding the journey of Razor Ridge. Without further ado, Aaron, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell people a bit more about you.
Absolutely. I'm Aaron Avidon. I currently live in Panama in Central America. I go back and forth. Been with Razor Ridge very year three, maybe three or more since it pretty much became a thing. I've stuck with them, through the ups and downs, and I've been consistent, which I've figured in this business. That's how you kind of got to do. Yeah, I'm here in Panama because I've been in the life insurance industry since 2020, right before COVID, and living a mobile life. I like to travel a lot. I have a wife and a son, and we just like to travel. I love this business because it offers me that chance to do 11 national parks in the USA over a summer and still work and stop in hotels, buy leads, work, and make money that way. So I love it. I've always been a loyal fan of Razor Ridge because you guys have been great all along.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. And tell us a bit more about your agencies. What number are you hitting on average in terms of AP? Just so people get an idea of where you're at and how you're able to have such a fluid lifestyle and obviously fund that for your fluid lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like, for example, this year since January, m- slower on the agency side. I've had people leave and go do other things. But we're almost already at 250,000 in submitted business for this year. And me alone, I'm at I think about 180, and I've taken months off. But
Yeah.
2023 was a big year. Well over 250,000. And again, if you have the discipline to just know, buy the leads, come up with your budget, stay consistent with that.
Hmm.
That's what it's about. And give yourself a long window. Don't give yourself 2 weeks worth of lead purchases. You might write
Hmm.
nothing in that 2 weeks. You got to give yourself that consistent plan and then execute that plan and see your results after that.
Yeah, so talk to me about that process because obviously you started just before COVID happened or just after COVID, right? So you're not like you didn't have the period where you're driving around and trying to go to people's houses. So you pretty much started on the digital space, right? So how did you come up with the idea that if I just stick with this same product, that eventually it's going to work out?
Well, when I first got into the business, I was a general manager in the restaurant industry for many, many years. Never did sales before, never called people before. This was all brand new. So
Yeah.
you come up with, okay, what do I have to make or what do I want to make?
Hmm.
And you reverse engineer that process of you go backwards to, okay, this is where my ending point is my starting point. How many leads I have to buy, how much I have to spend, and then you take it from there. Reaching out to people, talking to people is the best thing you can do. Talk to other winners. Everybody's always willing to talk to you. I chased it was a trip they offered. You get to go on an all-inclusive trip to Cabo. So I'm like locked in. I was like, I want that trip. And I got the trip because you just lock in and what you do is when you're first starting with any lead source or whatever, have your plan before you do it and just lock in and worry about the activity.
Yeah. Talk to me about the activity because that's a valid point, which I think a few people have discussed on these podcasts. Like, what do you mean by activity? Is it dialing, calling?
For me, it was very much, especially as a new agent, plugging into people and calls, have those calls scheduled early on. It's really important. And then, making that plan by this many leads each week. Sorry. And then I'm going to call them all. At the time, it was you triple dialed, and
Yeah.
I would try to do, there wasn't a single dial session that I wouldn't at the very least dial 100 dials on the phone. Often it would go higher than that. At the time with that system, it was kind of necessary to do that. Now with these digital leads, it's not, you don't have to dial that much, but you have to work them. Now it's text and call, and you have to be aware and track everybody that even reaches out to you. And the biggest thing is until they tell you the word no, I'm not interested, anyone's fair game. I mean, I have countless people that have not ever, responded, then all of a sudden I write them a policy, you know? So,
Yeah.
like, people get mad new people are like, "Oh, I can't get a hold of everybody." Well, when you first start, you don't have enough leads. You can't do $100 at first. If you have 10, 15 leads and you're buying that only once a week, you gotta give yourself that grace till you form that inventory, and then you're
Mm,
gonna be that constant movement on dialing. But, at the end of the day, it's that consistent schedule, create your own calendar. This is what I'm gonna do on each day of the week,
yeah.
and hold yourself accountable.
Brilliant. That's awesome. That's great advice as well. How do you manage that when you're traveling around, America, living in Panama, going to Florida and wherever? How do you manage your schedule and speed to leave? Because that's important, especially people who are probably part-time or looking to come into this full-time. They probably don't have the flexibility that you potentially have, but then you're also quite busy as well. So how do you manage?
My wife always commends me on that because I'm just able to do it because I have, it's the decided mind thing. If you wanna make something work, you're gonna figure out how to do it no matter what's going on. And the beauty about these digital leads, Razor Ridge leads, is if I am out doing something, I got my phone all the time. I have my CRM app. So even if I'm busy and I can't really get to the lead to call them right when they come in, a lot
Yeah.
of times they respond to that first text. And no matter what I'm doing, like this never really feels like work to me since I used to work in a restaurant. Like even over the last 5 years, it can be stressful, but it doesn't feel like work to me because I can do it from anywhere. I'm on my phone, whatever. So when I get a lead, no matter what I'm doing, I'm responding right away to that lead. I
Mhm.
have my little set things I text to people. I'll say something to them, based on their age and whatever, and I'll confirm that or whatever. But I have in my notes on my phone little templates that I've tweaked over the years that work, and then I'll copy paste, and then I'll be doing whatever, and my family knows if I'm sitting there like that, I'm not scrolling, I'm working,
Yeah.
and I'll book that appointment. You know what I mean? So I'll get all the information, book the appointment based on my availability later that day or tomorrow, whatever it is. Obviously, you want to try to book that appointment as quick as you can, but don't just because you're not in your office doesn't mean you shouldn't be talking to these people. And that's what I do. No matter where I'm at, I'm working. I go to the gym in the morning. I can't tell you because you get a lot of those leads coming in the middle of the night, and then boom, right in the morning, those automatic texts. I'll be at the gym during that time, and
Yeah.
they'll pop in. I do the same thing. I'll sit there and book an appointment for 2 hours from now while I'm at the gym. There's never not a good time for it.
Yeah, with bed frets. I gotta get this. I
Yeah.
love that. That's brilliant. So you mentioned templates, and is there some templates that you're willing to share to people so people can understand the type of texting that you're doing? I assume what you're doing is someone comes in, they respond, you're gathering the information for you to then give them options later down the line or later that day or the next day, correct?
Yeah, basically, the information I have on the lead is always gonna be where they live, how old they are, if they
Mhm.
smoke or not. That's always the basic info. So, right when so you have the automated text with Razor Ridge, and they'll say, like, "Yes." They'll just respond, "Yes." To start, I've got you at 48 years old in Alabama, and you're non-smoker. Is that correct? And then they'll say, "Yes." And then from that point, because that's all individual, I can't really copy paste that
Yeah,
because their information is different. But from that point, I go into what I have a template to best gather. The next text is to gather their medical information,
yeah,
um, with wording that shows them, "Hey, you wanna tell me the truth. You don't wanna lie.
okay,
I'm on your side." I have a little thing I always say on it. It says, I ask for all this stuff, and I explain to them why transparency is important, and then I say, "Consider me like your lawyer in this situation, not the judge. I'm on your side."
yeah.
And that lets some people's guards down.
I like that. You're saying, look, I want to help to see what you could qualify for if you just tell me. And if you don't, problem, because you'll find out anyway.
People are scared to ask questions at new I used to be too, like, you're very tentative to say things that's gonna get someone to hang up or change their mind or whatever. Number 1, you can't lose what you never had. Number 2, you waste a lot of time not getting that information. You'll waste
Yeah,
tons of times. You'll waste their time and yours because you will put them in the wrong product that they wouldn't qualify, and if you knew they had COPD, you know
yeah,
exactly where to go from there.
yeah. That makes a ton of sense. And I appreciate you releasing some of that template for everyone. Hopefully, everyone who is watching this can take some of that wording and use it for their benefit. Talk to me a bit more about your Razor Ridge leads journey, because I think you are, from what I've seen, you have been almost one of the first people to purchase Razor Ridge leads, and you're still here. So talk to me about that journey. Why did you stick around?
I honestly, I love the idea. Me personally, I really like the life, general life, even though I did very well for 2 years on mortgage protection, which you guys have too also now. But when I did the transition, for me, Razor Ridge was digital. You guys had the automation. I could do it on my phone. And it was something I hadn't seen before because up until that point, I'm printing out every week. I'm printing out leads and doing and marking and all that stuff. So this
Yeah,
was awesome because I like, like most people like technology to make things better, smoother. But
yeah.
I started buying them and immediately started, doing well and figuring out, my thing. It there's a lot of when it comes to Razor Ridge or any digital lead probably, you're gonna get those people you never talked to. And
Hmm.
the reason I've had success is because I understand that. Whether someone answers and tells me no or they don't answer the phone, it's still a non-sale.
Yeah.
I'm really seeking out the people because there are so many people you pick up the phone and you just write a policy, and it's the easiest process in the world.
Hmm.
You're looking for those people, so you have to chase people down, but consider that a game. When I'm chasing people, I say all kinds of weird stuff sometimes. I'll send people question marks randomly out of the blue. I'll send them 3 question marks. It gets so many responses. Even if they're telling me no or whatever, I get a response from that. Get creative. But like I've just been very loyal to Razor Ridge because they've never given me an issue. But at the end of the day, they've mostly delivered what I'm buying and I'm asking for, and the price point was great, and I saw results. If I order 10 leads and I talk to 5 of them, I like that. That's a win, you know? I've done these other things, and it's not anywhere near the quality that Razor Ridge has always had in terms of these people know they filled this out, whether
Yeah.
they tell you yes or no, like, they know they did it, it's real, and you just take the ones that don't answer, whatever, but you can buy enough leads where you're talking to enough people to make a living, um, doing this business for sure, and Razor Ridge has been a big part of that. I mean, in 2023, before last year, I kind of uh, bailed out a little bit. It was like I think it was right around 270 on my own pen with strictly Razor Ridge.
When we did some data analysis and saw your name, it was like right on top there. It was, yeah, you just bought consistently and obviously had a process that works, and obviously you're very good at sales clearly to allow you to hit those numbers. But talk to me about the obviously the recent leads, because we've changed a bit in how we approach lead gen right now. So we now filter out people based on certain criteria. When I'm talking about the premium lead here, so we filter out people who are unemployed, who are on fixed income, who are on disability. Have you seen much difference in terms of the types of people you're talking to, or the types of policies that you're able to write as well?
Completely different. Whatever you guys did, it was awesome because I can't tell you because that's frustrating too when you're having like a downtime such as this business. You could do a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and it's a bad month, whatever.
Yep.
But when let's say you start to get out of it, and then you're finally booking appointments or you're talking to people, and then they're like, they're on disability, they don't really have any money. They were just like in the bathroom filling out a form online or something, like that can be deflating at times when you see the stats of this person and they're either truly can't afford it or
Yeah.
they're absolutely too sick or too whatever. And no matter
Hmm.
how much you wanna help them, there's not many people like that, but there are, where, they don't meet the criteria for a guaranteed issue policy or whatever, that the fact of people I haven't got a lead over I don't know how long it's been a few weeks, but I haven't got a lead age over I wanna say 63 is the oldest I've got, and let me tell you, I've only had, like, 2 people in their 60s. Everybody's been between pretty much 30, 35, and 55. That's
Yeah.
been, the main and a lot of 40s. There's been which is awesome because that's my age. I'm 43. Get me
Yeah.
on the
Perfect.
phone with a 43-year-old, it's real easy to talk to 'em, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. yeah, similar life experience, right? And I
Yeah.
think that goes into what we've been trying to do, which is the whole point of the premium lead is to just give a higher, statistically a higher chance of being able to do something with the person that they speak to. So obviously there's no magic pill or silver bullet when it comes to leads. Leads are still leads. You still got to work them. But the idea is by using some of the stuff that we could do on our end to make the traffic at least look and appear higher quality, including the overlay of the 50% incomes. And we do tend to target lower ages on purpose because health wise, they usually are better. But it also opens up the range of products that you can sell, right? So you're not just selling, guaranteed issue with a bit of this or a bit of that. You can have IULs or term or whole life. Like it opens up the whole suite of products, which allows you, and I'm sure you're doing that right now. It probably makes your job more interesting because you're speaking to people with lots of different state life stages where you can actually help them in different ways.
Yeah, because what we would get a lot is people that, people are reading and watching videos about living benefits and IULs all the time.
Yeah.
So you would get these people that there's just no, they don't have the ability, they're on disability, they don't have the health. So you're getting people that are like, oh, I want this. And, a lot of those people, they think if they make one payment, they're going to have access to $300,000. And, so, like people don't get it. So
Yeah.
it weeds out a certain type of person that really doesn't want to spend money on a policy, doesn't, and is really only looking at the policy of, oh, I can get some money instead of looking at it to protect their family or
Mm.
be an investment to their future. You're getting somebody who's more attuned with what it is, or someone that's open to listen to you, teach them about whatever it is. So I've had way better conversations, and it's nice to be able to have more options when you're talking to somebody based on talking to them and figuring out, okay, this is what's important, you know?
Hmm. No, I love that. I really love that. And so clearly your agency could grow. What are your plans for your agency? Are you looking to add more people in it, or are you looking to just continue what you're doing with travel around and and close on your own pen?
I mean, it's always been a both. When to build an agency, I got to lock in, and I've done it. I've been there. I became agency owner with Symmetry. I did that. I recruited. I built. At one point, we were hitting 60, 80, 100,000 as an agency, and
Hmm.
then the business, it's up and down. People go, they come and go like nothing else you've ever seen before. I do eventually want to tone it down a bit and build, and I will.
Hmm.
But right now I'm kind of looking, what I do is I like the freedom of my life, and then
Yeah.
if and then organically attract people that wanna do the same thing. They see what I'm doing, they know what I'm doing. A lot of warm market stuff,
Yeah.
things like that. That's or even clients. I've had 2 in the last 4 weeks, I've had 2 Razor Ridge leads that are now in the pre-licensing course. One of them just finished it.
What?
So that's the way too. Yeah.
Clients turn into employees. Well, obviously 1099, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is so good. So, so good. Well, I've really enjoyed this chat, and I think what's been great is that you have given people a lot of information that they could use right now when it comes to just razor leads in general, or even any leads that they're buying to utilize to help just get a better response rate or a better result, or just understand that they're able to eke out extra value from the leads that they're generating. Is there anything else that you want to add to this for people who are listening, who are either new agents looking to get to a level that you've got to? What would you recommend that they do to achieve that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, approach it. This is a business. Um, you can't cheap your way to success in this industry.
Hmm.
Um, Not to saying you can't spend lower amounts of money on leads, but in my experience, figure out the most you can spend on leads, take a risk, be planned, don't mess your life up or anything, but, like, figure out and say, especially if you're new, I'm gonna spend this much for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and
Hmm.
judge it based on that time by you doing the work though. You know internally if you're not doing the work or not, but if you're doing the work and you're buying leads consistently and you're spending, I wouldn't spend less than 2 grand a month, but maybe you can do better than that. I don't know. But don't don't buy leads once. Don't buy 10 Razor Ridge and then you judge those leads on that one purchase and you never buy them again. That's like throwing your money away. Buying any lead source one time and judging it based on those first amount is like lighting that money on fire. So get yourself a plan, take a risk. If you have a case that goes bad in the first week because you guys were slow, you're
Yeah.
still gonna buy another case, right? You have to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Have that mindset. Don't look at it as a cost, look at it as an investment in your business. And the biggest thing is have a financial plan. Whatever level you are that you can spend, have that plan and draw it out where you're going 8, 12 weeks and then make your assessments after that window of time. For sure.
Yeah. I love that. That's great advice. And that's a lot of what I'm speaking about now as well. When we spoke probably maybe a year ago or before, where I was talking about what is your not what your what is your cost per lead, what is your earnings per lead? Because actually, if you look at it more as an investment to get you a return on investment, you need to understand every $1 I spend on a lead, I'm going to earn five. So that's a good return on investment, right? And so if you look at it the other way of saying, I'm going to spend 2 grand a month. Oh, it's a big cost. No, you're going to spend 2 grand a month because that 2 grand is going to be 10 grand. And that is now your earnings per lead, or that's how much it's going to earn you. So just like getting that mindset is important because it's not a cost, it's an investment. And as long
Right.
as you're in the right products where it's trying to make you win from the outset, then you're in great hands. But yeah, thank you for your time, Aaron. Really appreciate it. And yeah, look forward to seeing more of your success in the not too distant future.
Awesome. Great talking to you, man. Have a good one.